This episode of the Jersey Beer Guys podcast is sponsored by White Eagle Liquor Store in Riverside, by Beer Belly Brew Tours in Oak Lynn, and by Dr. Brew Littles in Maple Shade. The Jersey Beer Guys
and One Girl
podcast is hosted by Rob Dowie.
I think I got it, but just in case, tell me the whole thing again. I wasn't listening.
Amy Diamond.
You are a very well-respected journalist in the craft beer industry. You know that, don't you?
With Ian Dowie.
I only came here to do two things, man. Kick some ass and drink some beer. Looks like we're almost out of beer.
And Eric Bracken.
Dad, I'm thirsty. I want a beer. What about you? You want a beer?
Featuring Tony Iacono of the Two Brothers podcast.
Tell what's in beer, eh? Like my brother can tell the difference between beers by what his burps taste like.
And Kevin Riley O'Reilly of Philly Beer Trail.
Now you listen here. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Now go away.
Produced by me, Richard Rabin.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
It's the show about New Jersey craft beer you didn't know you wanted to listen to. Welcome back, everybody, to Richard's Room here on Jersey Beer Guys and a Girl. This is part 2 of Atco Brewing. Yeah, another long one. The first one was an hour and 10 minutes? That's a long episode. This one, too, another long episode, another hour episode. And we switch out Kevin Riley O'Reilly, who decides to take his very own beer tour of Atco Brewing by, I guess, drinking every beer 3 or 4 times in Atco Brewing. And we swap in Shawn and Jay, the owners. We find out we have a radio vet and a guitar player, which always makes me happy. We find out a lot more about what's going on in the brewery world, what's happening with some of the changes that go on in Atco Brewing. Since the last time we were there, we find out that Amy and Eric can really put it away. Rob, Rob is Rob. He's a pretty consistent fella from show to show. And I'm, the universal dum-dum. We have our third installment of Tony's Takes, and this week he shook it up. So I think with no further ado, we get right to Tony's Takes.
What's your name? What's your name? Tony!
Hello, and welcome to Tony's Takes. This is a reoccurring segment on the Jersey Beer Guys and Girl podcast where I sit with my jar of pennies and throw in my 2 cents on beer-related opinions. This week's take is, don't be a jabroni. For those of you who are not familiar with the term jabroni, the definition for jabroni is an asshole or a dumbass. This term has been made popular by wrestler The Iron Sheik and Charlie from the TV show It's Always Sunny. I had a very different segment planned for this take, however, something occurred that I felt very passionate about. There's a great resource on Facebook called South Jersey Brewery Madness, run by a guy named Brian Kiefer, that reposts all the brewery posts and updates. People post pictures of what they are drinking at the breweries, and it's a great way to communicate with people through social media. This past week, someone posted a picture of a couple half-finished beers and how it was the worst nitro beer they've ever had, and how the brewery was cold and not to their taste. The poster vaguely tried to hide what brewery it was from by blacking out the receipt, but left the Wi-Fi password so you could tell which brewery it was from. Now, there's nothing wrong with disliking a beer, and even not finishing a beer. I've had drain pours before, and I've had drain pours from breweries I really enjoy. However, posting pictures and deliberately bashing the brewery where there are 5,000 members can see is a prime example of being a jabroni. Nothing good can come of it. Most people who commented back at the original poster had the same exact reaction I did. Why would you post that? The brewery owner, who I've met and talked with before, took an amazing stance. He offered that the brewery is always trying to improve the experience for the customer and that they will look into their nitro lines. A fantastic and extremely level-headed response to an absolute jabroni of a human being. I do not think I could have been as reserved. By the time I personally commented back on the post, the original poster must have sensed what they did was incorrect and deleted the post. Now, if the original poster would have sent a DM to the brewery saying they had a couple beers, said the nitro beers that they had were off tasting or had a weird flavor, I would be willing to bet the brewery would have thanked them for coming in, offered the poster a discount to come back and try it again. I bet you that. That would have been a great way of how not to be a jabroni. In addition, I would like to say that anytime I've been to that specific brewery, I've always enjoyed their beers and had a really enjoyable beer experience at their location, and the neat tidbits that set them apart from other breweries. The reason why I did not mention the brewery by name is because it doesn't matter. The public should not be shit-talking small business at this point in time, or any time. If you don't like a specific brewery, then just don't go there. If I dislike a specific restaurant, I just don't go there. Simple as that. There's no need to add insult to injury. Beer brings people together. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, or Twitter at Tony Iacono. That's TonyIacono. And feel free to reach out to me on any of those platforms and let me know how you like the segment or how, I can improve the segment. And remember, don't be a jabroni. And that's Tony's take for this installment of Beer Guys and Girl Podcast. Cheers. Have a good one.
Okay, let's get the ball rolling.
What you are about to hear is bizarre, unsettling, and riveting.
We've got entirely too many troublemakers here.
10 seconds to self-destruct.
If there's still a world left when this is all over, I'd like to buy you a beer.
To alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
And we're back for round 2, Jersey Beer Guys.
And a girl.
Yeah, so she's still here. So look, that first episode went, well, let's say it's going to be an episode. So it went 1 hour and 10. So we have 4 more hours, less than 4 hours with you?
Yes, pretty much.
Thank God.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm almost done now.
Yeah. So we're here, still sitting in Atco Brewing. Eric's here. You heard Eric. He hasn't fallen down. I've never seen Eric fall down yet. So, yeah.
I'm thinking about that. I think maybe once.
One time.
Maybe once.
Maybe once.
Yeah. But I think I've seen him kicked in the ass by Captain Coke before. So Richard's still here.
I am.
And he just... yeah, well, Richard's here. Yeah.
He's doing well.
He's still good. So part 2 brings us to bring Jay and Silent Bob. No. We have the 2 owners, Jay and Shawn. I never did get your last names, but you guys know who you are, so we're going to talk. So they're the owners of Atco Brewing. They've been the owners since the beginning. I don't know what Jay was thinking. He reached out to us and said, we'd like to do a podcast with you.
That shocked me. I'm just going to throw that out there.
He dialed the wrong number.
I think he thought he was getting Rogan or something, but he wound up with us. So
sorry,
this is the best that we can do.
Wait, Joe's not going to be here?
No.
Sorry, Shawn.
Yeah, well.
So I guess we got
to... Spirit.
I guess we have to pay for those stickers and tasters now, don't we?
The podcast gods.
Damn it. So, guys, thanks for inviting us here.
Yeah,
yes,
appreciate it, man.
It's I was telling off air when we first here, I said it's been a while since I've been here. I'm not going to lie. COVID kind of put a halt on everybody's or slow down everybody's traveling, and the fact that New Jersey has 100-some breweries is kind of tough to visit. I don't live close to here, and I got a brewery in my town, so that's where I live now. So, but you guys are still going. You wanted us here to talk about the new things you've been doing. You got a new brewer, really good guy. You just spent an hour, 10 minutes talking to him. I didn't even realize it was that long.
Yeah, I thought we were getting cut from the show. Budget cut.
Yeah. Well,
head Nick.
Well, you still might be, but we're talking to you now. So
Wait, can I throw something out there? So about 4 years ago was the first time I was ever here. And, my brother Rob invited us. Never been to a brewery, didn't even know. And that was the night that you proposed to me about doing podcasts.
Well, I'm glad you had a podcast.
proposed to me.
This ain't North Carolina.
That'd be weird.
I'll also be cutting that out later. Wait a minute.
Brother
the
and
podcast
sister.
was conceived here.
It was conceived before here, but I asked her.
He asked me to come out. So, we took a ride out here, and we sat here and tried the beer or whatever. It was good back then from what I remember. But I just remember that was kind of the start of my brother and I getting together and doing this. So every time I think of Atco Brewing, I always think that was the first place I've ever been, to try that whole beer thing. The beer thing. I'm sorry.
How's that working out for you now, though?
Okay, so now we're about an hour and 20 minutes into me drinking. So
how many episodes later?
Yeah, and
I don't know. We're up over 70.
70,
So close to 80, but
yeah, I just remember that night. It was a good night.
Golf club.
It was a good night coming here.
Oh, well, there you go. Atco Brewing has something to do with Jersey Beer Guys.
And a girl. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
What?
Do we get royalties for that?
How does that work?
You haven't gotten a check?
As soon as we get paid. Yeah.
The check says Goodyear on the back?
It bounces that high.
Exactly.
I remember here being that day, that first time we were here, and I think that was the first time I was here, and you guys had a Marzen on tap. Oktoberfest for those that don't know the difference. Thought it was a really good beer. And I have to tell you that you had a blueberry beer in the summertime at one time. I don't know
wheat,
what.
maybe depends on how long ago.
It was a blueberry wheat, was it?
Well, we've done that, and we do the blueberry sour, which we added this year. So I don't know if it was or whatever back in 2020, which seems so long ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't the sour because I wasn't drinking sours then. But I just remembered my son lived around the corner, and he got this beer. And he's like, "Oh, you got to try this blueberry." I think it was a blueberry wheat, or
could have been she gave me blueberries.
It could have been.
It was originally a blueberry wheat. The first time we made with blueberries, and then the second round was a blueberry pale ale.
Well, okay, that's right. Well,
and then now we have the sour.
So it would be one of those two. But I just remember this now. People say you eat with your eyes. You see something, you look at food, and if it's appetizing. I poured this beer, and it was the best damn pour because you could just see it ride the bubbles rise, and just the way it poured. Like how they give you the Guinness commercial. It just looked like that perfect. I was like, oh damn, that was good.
Wait for it.
Really. Just watch it. Finish the pour. Enjoy.
And exactly, because you really do. You drink with your eyes too. You know what I mean? As you're sitting there, and we're drinking full pours now. So I'm drinking a raspberry. I'm on the sour now because I'm a sour kind of guy. What are you drinking?
Jam.
It's wet.
Something with chocolate.
That looks like the Chugga.
Chugga.
The
There you go.
English brown.
Yep. That's it.
Jay, what am I drinking? That is the Rails. That's our double IPA, which we haven't put out in about a year and a half.
Okay.
So we kind of rested that for a little bit, but we wanted to bring it back. So
that's a double IPA. It's kind of to me dark. It's good. It's like a darker IPA, right?
Yeah, it's interesting color.
Amber. Yeah. It's more West Coast style than what you see.
Okay.
I think the original one was supposed to be like an Imperial Red or something, right? We started messing with the malt, and then it got darker, and then the colors, and it turned into an IPA, and we kind of just shifted that way, and then just wanted to have like a heavy malt backbone, and dry hopped with Mosaic, plenty of Mosaic.
Yep. So Amy's drinking the same thing, right?
I am. Yep.
All right, Jay, what are you drinking?
This is a Diagon Ale.
Okay, we had that the first time.
Yeah.
That brown, the English.
Yeah, the English pub. Yeah, my wife's been sampling while waiting for here and everything, so I guess I'm driving already. So I'm going to stay with this.
Sampling.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. We're still going out for lunch with our other friends, but they just showed up, so I'm like, all right.
We'll wait now. It's dinner because we went too long.
I like sampling.
Yeah. So Shawn, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Stratospheric Clouds.
Okay, that's one we didn't try. What is that? What style is that?
You guys didn't try that one yet.
That's a double IPA.
Okay.
On the hazy style.
All right.
I'll have him bring you some more around. Actually, I thought you guys already tried it. I wasn't sure what the first IPA you guys tried that Nick poured for you.
I wasn't. No, the first.
That was
the Affogato.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you had the two new ones. We had the chocolate covered strawberry,
right?
The cherry berry cobbler, the Trenchtown.
Right.
Yep. Okay. I thought you had Strata. So Strata actually you should. Good. I'm talking about my wife. She never drinks IPAs, and that's what she's drinking right now.
Okay.
Wow.
She's always.
All right.
She's always making that IPA face to me, and it goes back to even the days of homebrewing. She'd always be my guinea pig and trying to make her try the beer, and it's the same face every. It's the same face every time. Yeah, and it's the same face every time. Like like her eyes twitching and whatnot.
Right. So you broke her down.
Yeah. And she still doesn't like the IPAs for the most part.
Well, what was your sort of palate training to get her to even like any IPAs, right? Because I never liked them, and it was a slow thing for me to slowly develop my palate to kind of get into them.
So for me to get into IPAs, or
even both.
Even for me, I just came from Sierra Nevada, like a pale ale, and then just kept gravitating towards more hoppier the better.
Right.
And then obviously, hazy wasn't even a thing when we first opened up, and then the market kind of shifted that way, and then you had Tired Hands making the milkshake IPAs, and everything kind of shifts. Your palate shifts and adjusts, and you have to go with the market too. So when we're brewing and we're tasting it, right? Exactly. Well, with her, again, she still won't she's really not into the IPAs. I'll try. She'll just taste it just for the sake of tasting it. We'll work with other breweries and stuff. But the Strata, she was just like, she just kept going back to, which I found surprising because it's a double on top of that. For me, it has like a hoppy bite to it somewhat. And Shawn was talking about it. I get a strawberry dank from it, and I think Strata's going to start being like this new popular hop that is starting to get up there.
Everybody's starting to use,
Yeah.
Was she a beer drinker before?
No, she's more like a Tito's.
Okay. All right,
or she does she does her seltzers, but she'll drink like the dark beer. Like she doesn't mind this, but she'll do like, well, we do. So Chugga Chugga is actually a bigger cousin of our English brown ale, which used to be like my competition beer. So when I was making, beer, like when homebrewing competitions, no one really was making English brown ales, right? And I know it's a boring beer, but I like English beer. That's like my that's why I love all the English beer. And I know he's big on a German beer, and I just wanted to get into something a little different. And I don't want to say boring, but between Newcastle, which is a nice simple English brown, right? And then I don't know if you ever had a chance to get Big Sky Brewing had a Moose Drool brown ale. It's out of Montana. The only reason I got it, one of my friends kind of brought it back in, and it was the best brown ale I've ever had. It was like nutty, like nice malt caramel, just goodness. So I wanted to blend them two together, put that out, and that's what my wife was actually really drinking. And then over I guess it was like 2 summers ago, we started running off the Randall. We did a Choo Choo Brown, and we put cinnamon sticks, vanilla beans, even habanero a little bit.
Run,
and taste it out. And people love that, so we expanded that into a Choo Choo Brown Express. So we did like an espresso version of it, and then we were going to do an imperial stout, raspberry chocolate stout, but we realized we didn't have black malt at the time. So Nick was still getting his feet wet here, still getting under the system, and realized that the color was going to be off a little bit. So we decided to do a bigger cousin, of that, which again she'll get into, which I don't get. She won't like IPAs for the most part, but she likes a lot of the dark beer and sometimes even the smoke beer. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense. And she's a big fan of the sour too. It's the blueberry lemonade sour that we don't have on tap right now.
Okay.
She's more a fan of that. It's a simple 5%, blueberry lemonade.
She's across the board then.
As far as I've that's the way I was kind of training her, and she'll go out and it's just more of an experience, so we'll do.
But it's great feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, she tastes it as a yes, no, or
and we asked that from even like all our friends and family, whoever. Like that's the one we always take the pride in, is we always want that honest answer. Like if you don't like it, tell me why. Like my feelings aren't going to be hurt. I work in commercial radio, and we're used to dealing with ratings and feedback all the time, and people, you have to have real thick skin, but it's all constructive criticism. Some people are, you'll understand like, okay, like whatever, but you have to take pride in that and to understand that. And everyone's palates are different too, and that's why we like having a lot of variety that we do.
Yeah, you do. How many taps do you have?
We have 12.
Okay.
So, and I think half of them right now are IPAs because we just did like a whole 5 new IPAs this month. So but it swings into motion. Like last month it was very December was definitely very dark, heavy beer.
Okay. Stout season.
Yeah. So and we're shifting a little bit. And I said, now that Nick's dialed in, and I was like, and again, when you asked, you said one of the reasons I wanted to reach out to you guys is because I saw one you're doing with Brotherton, which we've been doing some promo with them. It's like welcome them into town.
Okay.
It's awesome having another brewery in Atco, because look at Atco doesn't really have much around.
Right.
Like,
so, but it just makes another stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're doing those beer trails.
Berlin down the street.
Right.
You got Brotherton. You have you guys. Who else? Do we have?
Then if you go further down the road, you have Hamilton with their 3.
Oh, the Hamilton beer trail thing down there.
Yeah. So you got that. So you guys have a lot.
It's been great. And and customers asked us if we were kind of nervous with that, like a bigger guys, because Brotherton was already established doing all that distro.
Right.
But they never had the tap room, so people were getting concerned that like they're thinking we're going to lose customers in our tap room. Like, no, it's the opposite. You got people coming in now from Cherry Hill, Maple Shade, that you really don't want to go all the way out to Atco for one stop. Now you can do Brotherton, and us, and that's when I saw when you guys popped up in the promotion, and we're still in that. Now that Nick's kind of dialed in, he's only been here about 2 months, I guess, right? And in the first 5 weeks, he's still trying to get the system and learn that.
The other good thing is too that we were talking about this before, that you go to a place, and I hadn't been here for a couple years, but things have changed. You have a new brewer, you're doing different styles, so it's another reason for just another reason to come out, because if you hadn't been there for a while, or maybe you didn't like the beer, the selection they had, there's a new brewer in town. Right. There's a new sheriff in town. You got to come. You got to come try it.
Things change. You got to try it. Like
we've evolved a lot over the last 5 years, where we started on a 3.5 barrel brew house, and basically primarily a tap room at that point, and it was fun. You know, we're making good beer, and we're like, okay, well, let's start throwing some kegs out there. Let's get a canning line. Let's start distributing. And we kind of bumped up against like a labor issue with that system. It's like, well, we can't make enough beer in this system, so like, we kind of went through the paces on that, and it took us.
Day jobs were getting in the way.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, ultimately, we ended up in a 7-barrel system behind us that allowed us to make more beer at one time. You know, increase labor effectivity, and you know, we were ramped up for first quarter of last year. You know, we're ready to go.
Time change,
right?
yeah.
Because we installed the brew house in end of 2019, so we're ready to go, and then like, boom. You know, the world shuts down.
Right.
And Jay and I are sitting there looking at each other like we just bought a new tent for AC Beer Fest. We're like what the hell just happened?
Yeah. Because we were down those 6 weeks of trying to install a system. We did it ourselves too.
Right.
And, you know, anything like any project like that, it's over budget, over time type deal, right? So people were drinking all our beer, and it was getting down to like those. You know, we get down to I think like 2 taps or 3 taps. Couldn't even offer a flight. You know, it's like you want to get a flight, well, pick another one. the same one.
Double up something.
Yeah, exactly. So, like Shawn was saying, we're getting ready to ramp right back up, and then COVID hit. But we both agreed that it's actually, we look at it more of like a silver lining for us. You know,
right? You had an opportunity to like
you reassess everything.
Okay.
Reassessed everything that we did. You know, just from the financial situation, the production, but also allowed because Beer Fest was getting ready to happen, like you said, with the tent. But we're like, well, how are we going to supply all that beer and our tap room too? And now it's kind of like, well, now we can make as much beer as we want because people aren't coming in. You know,
right?
And you have the system now.
Yeah.
And you know what? Everybody was in the same boat. It's not like anybody got ahead of you. And truthfully, I think the beer drinking public of New Jersey stepped up because I don't think anybody closed that. Based on COVID, I don't think anybody's closed.
No.
We've actually had breweries opening up. We have another Lion's Roar is opening up this week.
Well, late April when it all hit. I mean, we had wholesale accounts like, all right, no beer, like canceling orders, tap rooms closed. So like we're down to like $0 coming in. We're like oh shit. But then like we started doing the curbside, and it was like,
right.
And then it allowed you to deliver.
And people were
when we started delivering, like it was awesome because it really was the local people like coming to save us. Like
right.
People were home. They were drinking.
I don't even know how to say it. Like the local support was
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I'm getting goosebumps.
I was just outside, and I noticed and I wanted to say something. Like somebody pulled up, and somebody walked out there and like gave them a whole thing of beer or whatever. Like it's awesome. Like
curbside.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't feel like that's ever going to go away.
Well, I hope it never goes away.
Like the whole curbside thing. Like
right. Everything's
you
changed.
figure a year from now, like people are still going to be like, all right, I don't want to go in there because, well, first of all, if you're anything like me and my husband, like we're going to come in and we're going to sit here and drink and then drive home. Like I'd rather come pick it up, and then I know, yeah.
Somebody will stay sober enough.
I know. So,
then we call.
It was great because I mean they literally pulled up to the curb and somebody went out and put it in the back of the car. I think it was you. Put it in the back of the car and like the guy drove off. Like
the funny part though is he actually gave me beer. He's like there's a mixed 4-pack in the back for you guys. And we're like, this is nice.
That's all.
That is nice.
So our customers are amazing, and
cool.
We'll bring it in because we sit down and we'll have like tasting sessions. I'm sitting. I had another customer gave me the Mega Yacht Juice from Icarus and a couple of Cane.
Okay.
They've gotten a little bit like I guess the ABV gets stronger per beer, right? But we'll sit down with Nick and Shawn and myself, and we'll just sit there and taste the notes and see what they're doing, and just kind of do. I always tell the wife, it's like, gotta go do some R&D tonight.
Research. Research.
Yeah. So you're just
Can we bring a pizza?
Yeah.
Can we bring a pizza too? Or?
Is there anything that's come out of COVID that you guys think you'll take forward when things sort of go back to
Business-wise.
Business-wise? Like any of these sort of emergency procedures, or are you hoping that curbside stays, or
I do like the curbside. I'm okay with that staying. The online purchasing is a big thing for us because people are buying all night,
right?
And they're picking up whenever, Right. So that's a good thing. I don't think
you're
that
open 24/7.
Yeah, and I don't think you couldn't do that before. It was just something that we added because we had
to force infrastructure, if you will, right?
Yeah, we need another channel of revenue.
Yeah, that'll.
Right.
That's craftbeercurbside.com. Like we'll never, we'll keep that running.
Yeah, that came in really handy when we did the Milk and Cookies holiday stout release. It was like we did like a variety 4-pack, and that was something that we learned through that. So basically, it was a milk stout, and then we split it 3 different ways, like an oatmeal raisin cookie. We did a gingerbread cookie and a peanut butter kisses.
So you had a mixed.
Yeah, we served it we released it as a 4-pack variety pack.
Okay.
It was actually a concept that came from his wife, or Shawn's wife, and one of our other former employees. And they said for the holidays they should do like milk and cookies type thing.
And good reception.
It was. I put it up for pre-order and it sold out in 6 minutes. And then I put more up and sold out. And then I was like, I already kind of sold some to distro. So what we learned from that. So we're going to do something similar for Valentine's Day, like a chocolate milk stout. You kind of do like some. Are we allowed to talk about that? I guess.
Well, actually,
it'll be gone by the time this airs.
Yeah.
So run it.
Yeah. So this time, what we're going to do all pre-order first and see how kind of web traffic we get from that, and then we'll know what distro we'll do. We'll definitely take care of our top 2 accounts, which one is Canals in Berlin and the other is Taunton Forge in Medford.
I guess you could probably do like 4th of July. You could probably even do a red, white, and blue America one. Blueberry. You could do a raspberry sour.
Well, I thought about doing like an actual Astropop type sour, like a red, white, and blue, like blue or a cherry lemonade, and I guess whatever it's like the blue, whatever the blueberry one is, like blueberry something. But some other people have done that, so I don't know. But this is where we can bring Nick in and start to really conceive some stuff, because now that we threw him right into that, it was like, well, here's a good way you're gonna learn the system. But that also forced us to fire up another one of our 1-barrel bright tanks, which was been sitting there for a little bit. Yeah. So now
get these systems working.
Yeah. So now we can. So when Alfie was telling you, so we have plans for double batching our staple beers like our Caboose Juice, IPA, and Mr. McGo Pants.
Yep. Right. They were your go-to beers.
Yeah. So now we can pull a barrel of that and do like a DDH version of it, and do like a 10 case tap room only type. You got to come here and go from there. But like that forced us to step up to 1 barrel.
Now, do you guys have a pilot system? Do you a pilot that you could just do like one-offs and stuff like that?
The Randall.
That's how the 1 beer was conceived.
That's like you were saying. Yeah.
We go all in. If we've got an idea, we just brew it. And run it.
And I think, and not to cut him off, we're canning everything. Before, like we were only canned select beer, and now like curbside forced us to our stout we never released, the Pilsner we used to never release, even though I thought our Pilsner is one of our best beers in the tap room always. And it's a great, enjoyable, crushable beer. It's Shawn's baby, and I think it's a fantastic Pilsner. But we never canned it, and now we are. And so everything we make now we're canned.
Well, yeah, you have a cooler box over there for takeout. Come in and take it out, and that's what's nice about the thing, because what are they, 16-ounce cans? Mm-hmm. So you can buy a 4-pack of 16-ounce cans. You don't have to buy a crowler or get a growler filled and worried about wasting beer or trying to sit there and drink the whole thing at one time.
We're trying to evolve people to that 4-pack situation. Like when they come in and ask for a growler, normally we have that beer in a 4-pack. Like just buy a 4-pack.
Keep fresh.
The package quality is better, and you don't have to drink it all at one time. You can share it,
especially if it's a big beer. Like I got Brotherton's Swarthy Invader.
Oh yeah,
clocking in like 9.6, and that's great beer. I love that beer. But I cracked open a crowler one night, and I'm thinking 32 ounces by myself. I'm like, no, I thought better of it, so I texted a friend. I'm like, you want to drink some beer? He's like, yeah, okay. So I went and drank some beer. But that's, again, if it was a smaller beer, it would be.
Well, even with the crowlers, we were originally doing 32 ounce, and we got the tooling for our crowler growler system, so now we're doing the 25.4 ounces. So that even that is we're doing smaller,
right?
Lower the price point, which is good, but it's easier. It's easier on the people.
Yeah, exactly, because you don't feel so bad about, because sometimes you have to think twice about getting a crowler. You know, like you have to, who's going to drink that with me? And
myself and I.
Well,
wait,
you're good. You're good.
I've never thought about who's going to drink that with me.
Well, listen, you're good. You got Kevin.
Right.
Kevin,
so there's no thinking there.
Right.
You know damn well he's
we know Eric drinks anything that doesn't
quantity.
So I got to invite Richard over on Mondays for.
Is that what it is?
Well, I get home so early from work now. Richard and I sit down. We have a little planning session on Monday afternoon, and we drink some beer.
Drinking.
Crack a crowler Monday, right?
Yeah, there you go. That's what we're doing. And then we're trying to talk about the podcast and stuff we want to do and stuff like that.
But your distro, you were mentioning Canals, right? Mm-hmm. That's up the street from here.
Berlin, yeah.
Okay. And then Morrow Brothers had you guys just this past week.
Yeah, we run Morrow Brothers too.
Yeah, they're pretty. They don't buy as much, but they turn our beer over really quick. Okay. Which is why kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
But even going back to the cold box, I'm finding out lately in the past month that we're one of the only breweries that actually offers you can make your own 4-pack itself.
Okay, which is a good idea. Yeah.
So we kind of try to do like a flight to go if you want. You don't have to be encouraged.
One of those.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's you don't have to buy 4 because we think we drink the same way. I don't, and it drives my wife nuts because I'll get a different glass out each time too. So I'm constantly having in our sink and everything in the house. But I'll go from a different beer each and every pour.
You made the motion. You said I drink, and you said I think in the same way because of taking the different beers, trying them out with the 4-pack. Why not?
Mm-hmm. So and people like when I go to breweries too, it's like, well, I don't want just a 4-pack of this. I like this, or I want to try more that I didn't get a chance to try, and I don't know when I'm going to make it back, especially if I'm going to like the Cape May County breweries. Right. It's hard running a brewery and then trying to get down there. We're open the same time that they're open, right? So, but that's I'm finding I'm just kind of surprised that we're one of the only breweries that actually do that.
Which is a great idea.
Concept.
We were at Workhorse a couple years ago out in King of Prussia, and we had them one time on an episode. They have 8 ounces?
The smaller cans.
They have the smaller cans, 8 ounces in a pre-made 6-pack of their beers, of their core beers. Okay. And it's like it's a flight to go.
Right. At this time, they might be mixing them, but at that time, it was like, you try our 8 different beers.
Right.
And they were small enough that you could take them anywhere. You could throw them in a cooler. If you're going somewhere, you grab 3 or 4 of them.
But it was good because, you only had 8 ounces of beer, so it was a flight to go. It was a pretty good idea, but I've never seen anybody else do that.
With the can shortage, they started doing that a little bit with the smaller cans and stuff like that kind of deal. And then the 16-ounce cans weren't available. So, hey, we have these available, and they were doing it. But, whether or not it's caught on.
But I like the idea of being able to.
I think that's a novel idea.
What, mix and match? Or?
No, do special edition releases in 8-ounce cans. That's a nice new marketing idea nobody's tried.
Yeah, but
that's a very dumb idea. Don't do that.
No, you're right. It's a good idea. Cost effective.
You heard it here first, roller derby fans.
That was another scare we weren't really ready for, is the can shortage on top of everything else. Really. And that's thank God we had a canning line through all of it. Through all of COVID.
That is big.
Yeah. It was clutch. And then Sean's telling me like, hey, just heads up, we might not be able to get cans. I'm like, oh.
And then
what else now? It's like Murphy's Law. Like everything kept going.
How many of the things you have on tap are available in cans for release now?
All of them.
Everything you have is
everything but the Irish Stout, because that's on Nitro, right? Exactly.
That's impressive.
But we had the Irish Stout in cans, but not this run.
Not this run. Okay.
Right.
But having the canning line is big for you guys.
It's
right now with how business changed.
It's huge. It's huge. It's huge. And we bought it. We had no business buying a canning line when we did, but we did anyway.
Yeah, it was a bunch of.
Well, you had the foresight, I heard.
Yeah.
That was you that had the foresight in it, right? Was that you?
Yeah.
That's very wise.
Sounds like that was me.
Wait.
It took me a while to convince everybody, but eventually it happened.
It took a couple years, but you can finally say, I was right.
Fuck you guys.
Usually it takes about 6 months for people to mentally say that we need to do this. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I said that 6 months ago. But the canning line worked it's been awesome for us. During COVID, it saved our asses.
How's your point of use here at the brewery as far as people taking beer out and stuff like that? I mean, pretty common, or
yeah.
I mean, I can taste it now. I can take it home. Kind of deal.
The more we have available, the more they buy. So for us, that's why we can, like Jay said, we've been trying to can everything for that variety for people to have that option.
Okay.
Right. If you don't can it, they'll have it here and it stays here. If you can it, if they like it, they take it home.
Well, I think that's a great idea. I know some breweries will buy the 16-ounce cans and fill them in their crowler machine, or they'll do it that way individually, and it takes a while. Or I guess it's harder for them to do it. Yeah. But having the canning line and having the variety 4-pack is an awesome thing,
and it's fresh, cold fresh beer.
Yeah, because we looked at those options too, like using the crowler machine to do 16s, or getting there's a couple of small lines where you can like hand feed the cans in, and you got to put the ends on. And I was just like, it's like that might work the first time, but like you're just gonna get pissed off the next time you want to.
Very labor intensive production. Plus,
you need a machine,
and you can risk like oxidation levels, all that stuff.
Yeah, because Nick was showing me this in the beginning. It does 6 at a time. You do 6 fills at a time. You can do 18 beers in a minute. He said
pints. It'll do about a case a minute, 12 ounces, but 16s. Yeah, we're running about 18.
Yeah, so
that's big.
Yeah, so it's nice to have.
You put it out on social media. Hey, we have this. We just canned it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Come on by.
And then now we just got we upgraded our label system too from Elementary, right?
Elementary. Yeah. We bought their old labeler.
That was the one thing I was always just like punching the ceiling every time, because we were doing we had a small labeler, and some of the material we'd use, it would jam up, and it was just easier for us to can everything, put it in a cold box, and then we would just label to order, right? All done by hand or whatever. But we knew bringing in Nick and starting to ramp up, like it's not sustainable, and it's just too labor intensive to do all that. Especially if I have my delivery guy coming in, and now he can just come in, pick the cases up, and go, instead of having to label for like an hour or two and then roll out. Now we actually, we can eventually set it up to be in line, which is not quite yet, but we still do it like on the same day. Like we'll run it off.
It'll be in line. I'm ordering that stuff. We'll be in line.
I didn't tell you yet, Jay, but I ordered that stuff.
By the way,
bam.
That's
mic drop.
Sean, it's kind of like me. It's easier to beg forgiveness than ask permission. It's like, I was right about the canning line, so I'm doing
words to live by.
How about your can art? You guys doing that local, or is that just somebody that comes in, or?
So it's a combination. Actually, Nick did the actually right behind you, the Stratospheric Clouds, like the artsy, colorful one. Nick has drawn a couple. He did a Diagon Ale, but for the most of it, I have a girl like that is my marketing department at the local college.
Okay.
And I know she does a lot of freelance work, and she does a lot of it's mostly all wedding stuff. And
why are you looking at me when you say that?
I don't know. But so she just wanted to, I guess, branch out, and I was telling her like, look, we're looking to expand our art.
Put your artwork out there.
Because now that there's so much competition, in the stores, you have to get people to engage with your can. And a lot of the times,
marketing,
and it's like, if I can get you to pick up the can and maybe read it, chances are you're going to put it in your cart.
Right.
Which is funny, because I was listening to the radio the other day, and they were talking about like marketing, like it has to be a visual thing, like with whatever it is that you're buying. So if I look at a can, I'm like, oh, it's like a funky shit. Like,
or you can't tell what type of beer's in there,
right?
Because all the artwork.
Or you can't read it. Well, sometimes you get a little too much. Glasses, you can't read it properly.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I need to know what it is. Like,
but they're cool.
I'll take it a step further. I think a canning art almost the way I think of album art.
Right.
If you ever go think albums, like if I'm going shopping for beers I don't know, I look through them the same way I would look for albums. Like, oh, the art on this looks awesome.
It's cool. I want to try it.
Right, and then I pay attention to it and see what it says. Right.
The jacket looks really cool.
Usually style and ABV we try and make pretty apparent. So like if you're looking at the can, you can see the style and ABV.
Yeah.
Right, without glasses, right?
Well, no, for me it'd be like that big. It'd be 5 inches tall.
It'd be the whole side.
You need like a 22 inch.
Just put the numbers right on the cans, nothing else.
I don't care about ABV. That doesn't bother me. I just style.
Well, our Atco IPA, the label it's all white, and then it's like a big block letter says IPA. It's like the Acme of
so you know
IPAs.
what you're buying.
Yeah.
Wile E. Coyote would love it.
Yep, exactly.
But that's really important, right? Because I mean, the art can bring you in, but if the can's not telling you what you need, you're still just going to go,
Yes, you got to be
a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot, right? Where beers look really cool, but I still don't know what it is. At the end of the day.
Sometimes it could be too abstract. And you have to, like you said, you want people to know exactly what it is. And there's words like, we're coming up with a new release next week. Next going to be brewing up something, and it's going to be a hazy pale ale. And you're considering, do we put the word hazy in there? It's like, no, like that's
we're brewing next week. We're not releasing next week.
Oh, yes, sorry. So we're brewing it
coming up.
Yes, and
still like before like this is released. So
by the time it's come, it'll be
new.
There you go.
It'll be new.
Yes.
But it's a straightforward concept, and that's what I wanted to have. And it's one less thing that we have to worry about too is trying to put the artwork together. And Crystal, I love her to death. She's been amazing. She's got quick turnaround time. She's always answering my texts or emails.
Cool.
She doesn't run away or something. So if we ask for a deadline, like she's usually always days before the deadline,
which is good to count.
And if we need, and if I realize I sent her a mistake, she's really cool about fixing this stuff. In fact, she was trying to undercharge, and I was just I threw extra money and said, here, this will cover this and like 3 more labels, and then moving forward, and then it didn't click for her until about a month ago. She was in the store and she actually went to pull a can and the saw was hers, and then she took a step back and then realized like everything else is going on, but then it was like a hit home finally. Like she finally got that moment where it's like, what I'm doing now is actually in the stores and
retain your talent.
Yeah, and we're helping her build like a portfolio, and now she's using this new program that we used for milk and cookies. It kind of gives like this nice commercial ad looking. I think it makes us look a lot more legit than just putting a picture of a can and a beer glass, right?
Okay.
And filling it up. So now we can do some of these teasers for some of our bigger releases that we got coming out of this variety pack that we're going to be doing for Valentine's Day, and because we saw the engagement that happened with milk and cookies, which is probably why we did the pre-order in like 6 minutes. It went crazy, and it was just a simple graphic. I showed it to Shawn. What Crystal just put something together, made like this 3D design, and he's like, put that on Facebook now.
Yeah, because that's as big as bringing the people into your brewery to taste it.
Yep.
I mean, the feedback's there, and like you said, I mean, the artwork sticks out, and you got somebody that's like proud to have their product on the shelf.
Yeah, and she, like I said, she's a sweetheart, and it's just been. We always know, like, you're gonna take pride in your art, but also like we want that beer as well. It's kind of like, because it just goes hand in hand, right? Like you said, you drink with your eyes too, but sometimes you have the artwork. Sometimes we'll also name the beers like after music references or whatever that might draw in people. Because I know when I go into the stores and I recognize like if it's like a Grateful Dead reference or a Pink Floyd reference or something, I'm like, I'm just buying that beer just because of the name.
Yep.
It doesn't always work that way.
I think that's a lot of it. Is the name, the artwork, gets you interested, and then when you try the beer,
all the engagement, and hopefully you enjoy the beer. And we know you're not going to like it all, but that's subjective. Just keep trying. That's all we ask.
New Jersey is actually it's an interesting beast because there's a lot of moving parts right now in the industry, but it's also it's in its infancy. I think this industry, because there's 100 breweries, but per capita it's still very low when you compare it to states like Colorado and Vermont.
Those are big.
So like there's over 9 million people in the state, and I think over the next 5 to 10 years is where you're really going to see this industry mature, and you see like breweries mature, and it's already happened. I think like if you're opening a brewery now, like your beer better be good, because people are starting to expect it. Like maybe a couple years ago you could get away with it. You can get your feet wet and work through the paces. Like you need to be good now.
But like we said too, you have to go back and revisit the brewery because things change. Your water changes. Different things come up. You got to go try them again.
Or they got to dial into a system. I think you're probably right about that, because if you go to a place, and I think in New Jersey, I think the people are expecting, if you go to a place the first time, you're expecting them to be right.
Yeah.
But you can't count them out. No, I'll never judge a brewery on its first 6. The first time I go, it's like, let me give them 6 months to a year, and then I'll go back and see if they're trying to change.
But if something changes, let's go back again.
Yes.
Like if you have a brewer change, or you
have to evolve quick. You have to evolve quick.
Yeah.
It's vicious.
Yeah, but my buddy just moved back from the Boston area, and and obviously the north, like New England area, they're great for their beer.
They're wicked hardcore up there.
That's pretty sharp. But he's saying, he's like, but New Jersey craft beer is just blowing it out of the water now. It's just kind of really coming.
We have some really good breweries.
Yeah, we're really spoiled. It's awesome.
Now, did you guys, at any point, I think it's with anything, you've been in business 5 years. Did you ever feel yourself like a lull and then you've become revitalized?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you were just maybe going through the motions, or not necessarily going through the motions, but it just wasn't as passionate for you, because you guys sitting here right now, you guys really seem passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Was it always that way, or did you lull? Because truthfully, truth be told, doing a podcast, I lulled. Last year I was like,
go through the motions.
But it was
there was definite ebb and flow, and just trying to build it up, and then something beats you back, and you kind of have to go back to square one, and you build it up, and you get beat back,
right?
And just kind of when this place was opened, I had never brewed a commercial beer in my life, so it's like, I hope this works, kind of thing. And we figured it out. We figured it out, and we're doing good things, and but there's there was definitely some lulls in what we had going on, mainly because I think it was just a volume thing. We just couldn't make enough beer,
right?
And that was a decision process before we opened, and picking the brew house we did. Maybe we should have went bigger from the get go. If you're listening and you want to open a brewery, do not buy anything smaller than a 7-barrel brew house.
Right. Big cold.
Don't do it.
If you're listening.
So
you're listening. You are listening. If you hear me, you're listening.
So I'm the guy that does all the editing, so I can easily cut this out if I'm opening up a can of worms that we shouldn't. But am I crazy in thinking you guys were looking for a separate location at some point?
We are always looking for. I've been looking at commercial property for 5 years.
It drives me nuts sometimes.
Right.
What do you think of this?
Even before
a nightmare, right?
Yeah, I'm insane.
All right, let's talk after. I got some places for you.
Oh.
So wait, first of all, so somebody just brought us beer. Nick just brought us beers. I fucking love this glass.
Well, this is the Tiku without the stem.
This is the one he was talking about.
I know, that's adorable. I've never seen that before.
Adorable.
That's how I like my women.
This is our half pour.
Adorable, short and squat.
No, it's so cute. I've never seen a glass like that.
So we do the half pours. This is a double IPA half pour versus the grenade glass where you have right there for the single.
So your glassware.
It's huge.
We think that's just as important too.
Okay.
No, that. I just want to drink this because it's so cute. I'm sorry, it is cute. I've never seen a glass like that.
But what did he bring?
You'll remember that.
So this is.
I'm gonna take a picture.
This is the Stratospheric Clouds. It's the brand new Imperial Hazy IPA using the Strata Hops. So I don't want to. I'm not going to impart any flavor into you. I like to taste it first and then see what kind of tasting notes that you get.
Okay.
But it's one of these up and coming hops that we're starting to see.
Well, considering I was just drinking a sour, you're gonna get my palate.
This is the one my wife actually really likes, and she doesn't like IPAs.
This is up and coming hops. This is
the Strata Hops.
Okay, this is not everybody has these. Or?
I just haven't. I mean, me personally, I haven't seen many. I'm sure there's tons out there. I'm just being, I'm just so focused on what we do here.
Okay.
But when I haven't seen them like Strata popping up some of the labels. But I don't buy as much craft beer too because we got customers like that one guy that pulled up just giving us beer all the time, and we have this beer or our beer that we're always sampling. But straight up Strata, and again, we're still experimenting with this new yeast and because we're trying to get one. I'm not sure if Nick was talking about that. Trying to develop a house culture for a specific yeast strain for our hazier beers.
Okay.
So we're going through the run there, so we can dial it in, so we can start focusing on knowing production time and how often we can start brewing, and then getting distro going.
In general, it's more than just hazy. We're going to use it almost across the board if we can.
Different recipes and stuff.
Right. So it allows us to crop and reuse. So financially it helps.
And speaking of that lull, that's Nick was that passion again. Like we knew we were primed and ready to go, but it was such a grind during COVID. And I was working from home since March, because of school. So doing stuff here, and then we were starting to gear. We were getting ready to head back to campus. So we had to start. Sean and I both knew that we had to get somebody in here. That's always been our bottleneck issue, is just getting the consistent production going on. If he'd do it or I was doing it, we were spread out, but we both have full-time jobs on top of this. And if a meeting pops up, then we got we got to scratch brewing day for that day, and then push it back, and then push it back again, and and that's not fair to even our stores that are relying on us for that production. So we knew that, and then I went and tore my ACL in September, and then I was really down. So, but as I think fate would have it, in a way, we lucked into Nick, and Nick kind of, I don't want to say lucked into us, but just the paths lined up, and I've known Nick for a long time.
Right.
And
it gelled.
Yeah. Well, I know his personality, his culture. That's what Shawn and I are big on that. What he's going to bring to our team, and and we know he's pretty much a plug and play type person too. Right. He doesn't take that,
which only complements your product.
Right.
I mean, he's a real beer guy.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
he is.
We were always making good beer. We just couldn't make enough of it to really do what you need to do, distribution wise and volume wise.
It grows.
Yeah, and he's very passionate.
Plan for growing,
and you can tell from talking to him, he's very passionate and very infectious with all of that. Like I saw what he used to do at other previous places and his social media presence and just being proud. And that's what we want. We want to embrace that. We want you to be proud of what you're making. I know what it was like when I was first making my first beers and putting it out. Not that he's not making his first beers, but just that pride of creating something and then for other people to enjoy and sample. It's come a long ways from the Mr. Beer Kit.
And he likes doing it.
He absolutely loves doing it.
I don't think he likes doing it. I think he loves doing it.
Yes.
I think he loves what I do.
Yeah, and he knows we're trying to grow too, so it's just perfect. It was just perfect timing, and thankfully he chose us, over the other brewery. And I don't know if it's part of my relationship that did it, and Shawn being here, but now we just dropped him in.
He's on board,
and and now the first 5 or 6 weeks, it was just him kind of getting used to our system, making recommendations, asking to do other things, and now, like I said, this month we put out 5 new releases, and we're ready to go. We're primed up. In fact, we had to slow down for a second because the cold box started to get filled up, but. We're expanding our accounts there and trying to grow into Gloucester, Camden, Burlington, Atlanta.
Turn it on new sales staff, to get that beer moving.
Right.
It's a long process. It's a long process. Like I said before, we were ramped up first quarter of last year to go. COVID hit, kind of set us back, and now we're kind of ramping up again. We're stronger now, I think. We've got the operations dialed in. Jay's been doing distribution. Vince, one of our, he worked in a tap room.
Okay.
Brought him on in sales. He's starting now. So we're primed up. We're ready to go.
Good.
So the changes that you're making are starting to complement you now, and you're starting to see it now.
Yeah.
And the things moving forward, only can go up.
Yeah. My number one goal is to give people jobs and get me out of the way.
Okay.
Because all I do is slow things down. I make.
Well, there you go. You realize the first thing that you were in the way.
No, I've done that for a long time. It's just getting to the point
thinker.
where
Oh God, I feel that way sometimes. You live over there, Aim?
I'm alive.
How are you liking your?
Listen,
she loves the glass.
I love the glass.
So she's gonna love the beer because she loves the glass.
Check her pocketbook on the way out.
Shut up! No, don't tell my secrets. That's I've never seen anything like that.
Hey, if you steal a glass, I just paid a few dollars for advertising.
I would never steal.
The thing is, support local, buy them.
Yeah.
These guys need it. These guys invested the money.
3 or 4 bucks.
Why not?
Buy one. Yeah.
You buy the beer. Why not buy a glass? Enjoy it at home.
Exactly.
So. It is fascinating what people will steal though. Right? Like weird little glasses or like dumb little.
This conversation could go like. Wait
a minute.
You guys know.
Somebody stole a picture out of a bathroom in a brewery up in New
I've
Jersey.
seen that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were wanting it back. It's like, come on.
They got it back.
Did they get it back?
Yeah, they got it back.
You mean alcohol's involved and people are doing dumb dumb shit.
Yeah, out of a bathroom.
Well, that really sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
People drinking alcohol.
All right, I'll bring your sign back later.
Yeah, because no good story ever started with I was having a salad.
Yeah. Hold my beer, watch this.
Didn't you ever see that? No good story ever started with I was eating a salad.
No, but that's very smart. That's really true. I have very many stories though that do start with way too much alcohol.
And not just alcohol.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this: don't drink with sailors. I learned that from radio, from doing booze cruises. Yeah, trying to outdrink a sailor—that's never a good idea. Yeah, that's a life lesson.
Well, it's a good idea at first.
It is because they're all like, they're all like, hey, you want to drink with us? We're like, I was like, yeah, it was literally my first time, like a big radio event I had was a booze cruise, and these sailors are like, let's drink. I'm like, all right, great. And next thing you know, next memory flash
Your kidney's missing?
Well, no, next memory flash I have is in a hotel room, and then the next memory flash I have is in a car with a listener who's driving me home, and I'm 2/3 of the way home, catching my reality and him in the middle of a conversation that I don't know what we're having. I'm like, yes.
Well, at least you didn't end up in the water.
No, I didn't end up in the water. It was good. But
last thing I know, I woke up, they were throwing me a life raft.
right. That would have been the worst.
And it was a rock.
He was out on a 6-month cruise.
Yeah, really.
6-month tour of duty deployment.
Here I'm in Honduras.
I didn't end up in Honduras. Right. That would have been the worst part of the story. Yeah.
My kidney's gone.
I don't know. Honduras, if it was wintertime here, Honduras wouldn't be so bad, right?
No, not so bad. No.
If they have good beer.
I did end up at home, thank God, but I do not know who that person was or how I got there. But
they're telling the same story right now somewhere else.
I think that too. Like
this one guy, we had him.
I picked up this dumb radio idiot who was too drunk sitting on the side of a curb by a boat.
You should have seen what we did to him.
Right, exactly. Right, they could have done anything. I have no idea what happened, but
Dix.com. No.
How do you know about my website?
All right, edit that.
Abe, did you get pictures?
Of course.
All right, good.
Well, that's the important part.
She's doing her job.
No.
We got a couple of random pictures too. We'll share.
Cool.
That's very important.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the other thing radio teaches me as well. Is all that it's just promotion is just as important.
Oh yeah, and that things have become a visual medium just as much as an audio medium, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 'cause especially when listening to the podcast, that's all you get is the audio. So there's certain words you got to use that try to or describe the scene and everything else.
Algorithms.
And then you get the
Wait,
picture.
so you listen to our podcast?
No,
I have not yet. I listened to the intro last week or for the Brotherton one, and I heard obviously it was really well produced. Like some podcasts you hear that you can tell it's not. I don't know. Again, I'm on the snobbish side because I do.
Be a snob.
I work in commercial broadcasting. I worked in commercial broadcasting, and I always thought your show is only as good as your production itself, right? So if you're putting it all together, but you can talk and have great content, but if you have like awful imaging and I don't know, like weak intros and stuff, it doesn't sound as good. You can just really drive it
quality
home.
And stuff like that.
Yes,
I try. You look over there at the equipment. I try to get.
Well, I can even hear like the compression on the mic. You know, it's that nice rich. You get that nice rich.
So the
sound
content
to
doesn't
it.
matter.
No, content.
All right.
Yeah, content matters.
Definitely matters.
It's gonna sound even better if it's well produced.
Okay.
Right. So people need to take that on the serious side. I know everybody wants to do podcasts, and you encourage them to. Especially that's what people learned in COVID is that they learn
stuff.
Everybody has a podcast now. There's over 1 million of them.
Well,
everybody has one.
But I think it's more about people actually people that didn't even know what podcasts were, and then I think 2020 kind of taught them that because they had to rely on a lot more of virtual stuff. Right, they're not in their cars as much, but they still want to hear these things. And there's these other books, and then other teachers are putting these podcasts out, and they're using them as lesson plans.
Yep.
So,
Joe Rogan's about 10 minutes away, by the way. He texted me. Joe Rogan.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
So that's how weird it is, though, because Joe Rogan has gets tons of numbers, but one of the bosses on my Fear of Carpet Planet, my other podcast, is Tom Marshall, the guy who writes lyrics for Fish. Yep. And he uses this little Zoom recorder I have over here, except he puts it in the middle of the table and does nothing, and still got like 1 million downloads with Anastasio for Fish.
That's all the Fish fans. Yeah.
Right, but it's fascinating that he does nothing except put that goofy little Zoom in the middle of the room.
And have a conversation.
It has the microphones like sticking out. I had a similar one.
And that's our main recorder, but I mean, we're using the input jacks and using a mixer and a compressor and, trying to, like you said,
make it look professional.
And you guys got sponsors on top of it. I was hearing it was very nice.
I'm trying. I'm not doing a good job. I got to buy better equipment.
Well,
you're doing a great job.
That was a great setup.
Because I will buy better equipment.
Well, we could preamp every mic, and that's another whole. We'll talk about that on Monday.
He didn't tell you he bought it already.
Yeah, really. Ante up.
It's coming with our canning line. Or our labeler.
Yeah, the labeler. Surprise.
One big package.
Yeah, well, it's funny. You talk about the podcast and stuff like that. You talk about your, different things like that, and crazy with the podcast. A lot of people, I'm on sites and they're like, well, how do I get more listeners? And how do I get? They're always worried about numbers, and I'm thinking to myself, don't you do it just because you love it? Like I do this, and we have some sponsors, and it covers some costs, and I do this,
but we have fun.
I do this because it's fun, and I like coming to see you guys,
talking to you guys,
getting the word out. That's why I did this, was to get the word out
in this industry.
I don't care about numbers. I just care about having fun.
Yeah, and that's what it's supposed to be. You want to enjoy the conversations of what you're doing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it.
Right.
As brewing, you having fun.
Yes,
for the most part.
Right.
But it's a business.
Yeah, and I was just trying to use this outlet too because I understand the whole podcast marketing, especially is taking over even bigger. And you're starting to see, I can get in the whole commercial radio and where that's headed. Conversation another time, but as many outlets as we can say, there's only so much you can actually do in texting or something, or writing copy on Facebook or Twitter. Or Twitter's only gives you so many characters to really try to explain, some of your messaging. And that's one thing I keep doing. Even Shawn was saying how I was doing a distribution. Well, talking to a lot of my sales accounts, it's like I keep trying to drive home the point. It's Nick. Like I have a new brewer, Nick. He comes from Tired Hands. He comes from Yards. He's in another brewery as well, right? Yep. And this is where we're headed. We have big plans. But every time I'm talking about it, I keep bringing Nick up because one, I'm super proud of him. He's really passionate. But that's the thing too. It's just we always take pride in that. That's the way you should treat your employees the way you want to be treated. Right? It's a simple concept. But we treat them like family, and because we want to know we never ask them to do anything we wouldn't do. But also we're just trying to build when stuff gets stressful. When there's going to be times or COVID, something might come in. Everyone goes to battle for each other too, right? But Nick is still only 2 months in, and we're still trying to get that message and new culture out because we've changed a lot over since opening and evolved. We should
not that you're new, but we're different.
Yeah, and I think COVID kind of allows us to hit the reset button on top of that too. So it's getting this. We only kept 2 people, and there are our diehards, like you said, Vince and Danielle was the other one because we need that female perspective to kind of keep us in line and keep us clean,
You're
especially
welcome.
now, right? So and she's so awesome, and we have big plans for the both of them. And then we had to start expanding some of the hours as taproom started to get increased, and that's when we brought in Lisa, or Danielle's friend Lisa, because I know she's heavy. We want to make sure you're very knowledgeable in craft beer, so when customers are asking you kind of know what you're talking about, right? Because some customers
your staff,
they're going to have questions, and you might not know what the beer, what we made in the beer, but you can at least describe it of sorts and kind of know. And they'll travel to other breweries and do the same thing, so I know they're passionate. Same thing with I just hired Brendan a couple months ago. He happened to walk in, and I was getting slammed by myself, and was asking hey, if you ever need some help. But I happen to know him, ended up being a 6 Degrees. We didn't know he works for Live Nation, going back to commercial radio, and I knew a bunch of his bosses from doing concert promotion and ticket swaps. So, but I'm staring at it.
He's family.
Yeah, and so I already know he's got the music personality, which is one big thing here because I always want music playing. I want that culture in the tap room, that set, because when you set the tone in the tap room with good music, beer tastes just as good too.
Yeah, and it brings the people in.
Right,
yeah.
and it's the variety. But he's very passionate what he does. But I couldn't stop staring at it. He's got a tattoo of an owl with hops. The body is a hop itself. So I'm like,
nice.
So obviously you're very passionate about hops and beer, but he's got excellent, the customer service of, introducing himself and asking all the customers because we want that experience. Shawn and I always talk about that. Just engage with the people, and you'll know that if they don't want to talk, then let them be.
You need that personality to bring the people in.
Because there's sometimes people will come in and say we were at this brewery and all they're doing is on their phone the entire time and didn't want to talk and stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry, if you're going to spend your hard-earned money coming out and your time to taste some of my beer, the least I can do is say hello.
Engage if you want to engage.
And if people don't want.
Yeah, it could be
and they always will.
Yeah. So we were building that. that. And then Nick was like that last piece where it's like, all right, I mean, he was the biggest piece that we needed, but we're getting that tank fired up. And now it's like, all right, we got a solid team. And now Nick's pumping out crazy beer, and Vince is going to start helping me like move the beer and sell. So like 2021, we're ready. And that's
only way is up.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
That's where we're trying to get that message out, you know.
So you came here to, what was that saying for Ian? Came here to drink some beer and kick some ass?
Yeah. So we're not out of beer, but we're ready to kick some ass.
You're ready to kick some ass. There you go.
We got more beer.
So we're not out of beer.
No, we're not out of beer.
You got plenty of beer.
But they're still going to kick ass.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. So
that's the one.
2021 being hopefully the better year. We'll see more of you guys. We're going to start wrapping up.
Cheap plug?
Well, yeah.
Where
wait a minute. I usually tell Ian to take us out, but
okay, sorry about that.
Take us out.
We'll do it live.
I got nothing.
Yeah, no, you answer the question. Where are you located?
All right. Where are we at right now, guys?
There you go.
We're in Atco, New Jersey.
Atco Brewing. Address?
302 White Horse Pike, Suite B1.
Okay. How about any websites? What do we got?
We've got AtcoBrewingCompany.com on the web, and we have for online ordering, we have craftbeercurbside.com.
Just go to that one.
Which is big. Yep. Instagram?
How about social media?
Social media?
Yeah, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all, you can just hit the search for Atco Brewing and we'll pop up there.
Okay.
And we're very heavily involved with that.
Hours? What are your hours?
Right now, Thursday and Friday, 4 to 9. Saturday, we're 12 to 8. And Sunday, we are 12 to 5.
And the curbside pickup is 24/7, right?
It's only when the tap room's open.
Okay.
But you can order 24/7. You can pre-order, and then we'll have it ready for you first thing Thursday when we open up, or whenever you want to get here. You can get here for like a month.
Okay.
Then that's so be it.
Okay. So I think that's it. We're going to wrap it up. Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for having us
awesome,
today.
man.
I want to thank you guys for coming out.
Yes,
good to talk to you guys.
Thank you.
I hope you didn't regret reaching out to me.
Give me my glass. Make sure you give me my
I
glass.
was really hoping Joe Rogan was going to show up. But
Well,
He's
he's
a
2
little
minutes
bit
away,
out.
but we gotta wrap it up.
It's amazing how time works.
Episode
I cannot wait for
three.
Joe. Listen, we're important. I can't wait for Joe. Sorry, Joe.
Hey, as a consolation prize, I got Burt Kreischer and Tom Segura. So,
Oh, wait a minute, too. Before we go, we have friends here at the podcast that came out to see us. Our long-lost brother that Amy didn't even recognize.
I didn't recognize. It's
John.
bad.
John is here.
So
John
bad.
Towie's out here.
I'm like, who is Kevin talking to?
So our other friends, I guess they left. Zach and Chelsea from the campground. So I'm going to tell Chelsea, this is your shout out. You got it before, but you said you didn't get it. This is your shout out.
This is it.
Listen
We're
up.
Done.
Right. So
One
guys,
and done.
Yes. Thank you guys again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Very good beer. Very good.
Yep.
Yeah,
Make sure you come and see these guys. They're doing good things.
Yes, very good.
Come out.
Sláinte.
Cheers.
Sláinte.
Cheers.
Yep.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Where's your fancy glass?
Nice job, guys.
It's empty.
Thank you.
Jersey Beer Guys
And the girl.
is hosted by Rob Talley,
And Amy Diamond.
along with Eric Bracken and Ian Talley. It's produced and edited by Richard Raven.
You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Jersey Beer Guys 1 or Instagram at Jersey Beer Guys.
Thanks for listening, and remember,
Try something Jersey.
You still here? It's over. Go home. Go.